Welcome back to The Explainer. Today we are diving straight into the fascinating story of how one single ancient poem shaped millennia of history. We're looking at Psalm 1. But here's the secret. This is not just an introductory poem. This text actually contains the DNA for the Psalm's full story. It's literally the foundational lens for the entire collection, a text that has crossed empires, languages, and musical eras. Let's break down exactly how it works. Let's kick things off with a key phrase, Beatus Vir. That is Latin for blessed is the man, which is the opening of the Vulgate Bible for this particular psalm. Historically speaking, this phrase was a massive deal. Medieval monks, creating those incredibly detailed illuminated manuscripts, would mark the start of this text with an ornate Beatus initial, focusing specifically on that letter B. And sometimes they would paint the single letter so large that it took up the entire page all by itself. It was a major focal point in early manuscript art. Now, if we look at the English translation, the King James Version sets this really profound tone right out of the gate. Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly. Right from the very first breath, the text demands your attention and establishes a distinct moral boundary for everything that follows it.
Part 1. The Gateway to Psalms. Setting the agenda.
So, Bible scholar Alexander Kirkpatrick called this an appropriate prologue to the whole collection. It is definitely not just some random song placed at the beginning. It is a highly intentional gateway. In fact, scholar Patrick D. Miller suggests it literally sets the agenda for the entire Psalter. It establishes the joy of the Torah and the ultimate fates of different people as the thematic bedrock for the Psalm's full story.
Here is a really fascinating twist, though. Ancient traditions actually viewed Psalms 1 and 2 as a single, connected masterpiece. The Talmud notes they were once counted as one composition. Structurally, it's just brilliant. It opens with the Hebrew word ashrei, which means blessed, in Psalm 1, and it closes with that exact same word at the very end of Psalm 2. The Talmud even claims this combined megapsalm was King David's absolute favorite because of that perfect framing.
Moving on to Part 2, The Tree and the Chaff, Two Paths. Okay, so the poem's central theme really hinges on this stark dichotomy between two types of people. On one side, you have the righteous person, or a tzaddik. This person learns God's laws, gaining deep wisdom. They are like a deeply rooted tree planted by a stream, prospering and yielding fruit. On the complete opposite side is the wicked person, the rasha. The text doesn't even grant them the dignity of being a dying tree. They are compared to chaff, just weightless, useless husks of grain, effortlessly blown away by the wind. And this vivid imagery wasn't just a one-off for this poem. The prophet Jeremiah echoes this exact same powerful tree metaphor in Jeremiah chapter 17, talking about a tree planted by waters, sending out roots, and not ceasing to yield fruit. It was a universally understood way to describe the immense advantage of trusting in God during difficult times, like a severe year of drought. Now, what is crucial about the wicked person's fate as the chaff is how it relates to judgment. The psalm explicitly states the ungodly will not stand in the judgment. The big takeaway here, which Kirkpatrick notes, is that this judgment applies to everyday divine actions. We're not just talking about some final apocalyptic end-of-times event. It's a continuous, present reality that governs the daily worldview of the entire text. All right, Part 3, Translations Across Time, Linguistic Layering. This text has an absolutely massive historical footprint, crossing linguistic empires over the centuries. We have the original Hebrew, the English King James Version, the Latin Vulgate, and the Koine Greek of the Septuagint. It's amazing to see how this exact same first verse, contrasting the righteous and the ungodly, has been painstakingly preserved to serve as the spiritual foundation for completely different civilizations. You might notice the wording shifts a bit depending on the language. Well, that's not just translators taking creative liberties. The Greek Septuagint and the Hebrew Masoretic versions actually stem from entirely different ancient textual traditions. As this text moved through time, these dual streams naturally created slight variations in meaning, which just adds these incredibly rich layers to the poem's history. Next up, Part 4, Enduring Religious Traditions, Liturgical Impact. In Judaism, the applications for this psalm are incredibly diverse. It's recited on the intensely solemn night of Yom Kippur. It is so foundational that it's quoted in the Mishnah, where a rabbi uses its company of scoffers line to warn against sitting together without discussing the Torah. But beyond the formal, grand liturgy, it's also deeply personal, traditionally recited as a whispered prayer to prevent a miscarriage. Christian traditions have similarly woven this right into the rhythm of daily life.
In the Church of England's Book of Common Prayer, it kicks off the morning of the very first day of the month. In the Coptic Church, it's prayed in the morning office of Prim. And its reach goes way beyond the church walls. It inspired literary giants like John Milton, who translated it into verse in 1653, and even the famous Scottish poet Robert Burns.
And this brings us right back to how Psalm 1 dictates the Psalm's full story. Theologian Hans Boersma points out that Book 1 of the Psalms is a meticulously closed loop. It begins with the blessed man in Psalm 1, and then it perfectly concludes with that exact same theme in Psalms 40 and 41. It acts as the structural bookends for the entire first section of the collection.
Finally, Part 5, A Lasting Musical Legacy, From Tallis to Today. This poem hasn't just been studied, it has literally been sung for centuries. Back in 1567, Renaissance composer Thomas Tallis set it to music. In 1628, Heinrich Schütz published a German paraphrase, which was followed by a beautiful three-voice Latin setting by Marc-Antoine Charpentier in 1670. But hey, this isn't just ancient history. In 2018, Christian musician Jason Silver released a contemporary track titled The Two Ways. From medieval monks all the way to modern Spotify streams, the core musical message remains completely intact.
So how exactly did one short poem, simply contrasting a rooted tree and windblown chaff, manage to echo so profoundly through millennia? What you should take away today is that Psalm 1 is so much more than an introduction. It is the definitive gateway, the ultimate key to the Psalm's full story, that forces a choice before you even step foot into the rest of the book. So, as you look at your own life, which path are you walking?